Now, ideally, after 100 plus videos, you have an appreciation for the refrigeration cycle, but not just the cycle, but how it's working, how we're absorbing heat from inside, how we're rejecting that heat outside. And that's very important. But also, you can be overwhelmed with the amount of information that goes with that. The indoor TD, the indoor delta T, saturated temperature, the outdoor TD, the outdoor delta T, the compression ratio, the superheat, subcooling, target superheat, target subcooling, the metering device, and the type of refrigerant, plus more that we haven't even talked about yet that we're going to get to. It can be overwhelming, and you have all this data and all this information, and then you're trying to diagnose it. I've really focused heavily on superheat and subcooling because it's some of the simplest ways to appreciate that. But all the other numbers are important as well. You have to decide what's going to work and what's not. If there was only a way to simplify this, if there's only a way to get it more accurate and faster, well, there is a way. And the thing we're going to talk about today is called MeasureQuick. And I absolutely love the MeasureQuick app. It takes all of these numbers and does all these calculations for you. And it even has a little guide on there telling you, hey, you need to check this, you need to check that. And it gives you an idea of what to look for. So it helps your diagnostics process. On top of that, you can screenshot this information and you can communicate with people all across the country. With this information, somebody can look and have an appreciation of what's happening with that equipment, which is extremely, extremely helpful. A lot of people like to get into this MeasureQuick app without understanding how it works. Understanding its refrigeration cycle is so important. So ideally, all this groundwork that we laid helps you appreciate the app and helps you understand what the app is trying to do for you. Now, if you just try to use this as a shortcut only, it causes more confusion. In this video, I'm not teaching you how to use this app. I'm just giving you an introduction to it. Jim has done a really great job with developing a training course for his app. So all this information tells you how to use it, where to get the numbers, and it goes through a lot more detail. I strongly recommend that if you're going to use the app to go through that little training course. It's free. You can understand exactly what's happening. It gives you a whole appreciation for what he's doing. But Jim is brilliant. He is an absolute brilliant man. I've got to meet him on several occasions, and he's always just overwhelmed with his knowledge. And he's taken all of his knowledge and put it into this MeasureQuick app. And you have him basically right there in a phone app able to help you and walk you through problems, which is amazing. It's so cool. And on top of that, it's free. You only have to pay if you want to save a report, and it's only $5. So once you get all the information, it digitally saves it and you can send it directly to your customer. Or you can just take some screenshots and write that information down for your records completely for free. Or you just want to diagnose equipment completely for free. Let's get started what we're going to need to make that happen, because there is some tools and expense involved. Now, you can manually enter this information, but I've really fallen in love with the probes. So at the beginning of summer, I bought my own set. I've been using it as I do consulting work, been traveling, flying around the country with this equipment, and I absolutely love it. Now, there's the field piece set. There's also the testo set. I couldn't afford to buy two different sets just to play with them. I chose one. I chose the field piece. I don't know about the testo set. I can't afford to go run it through all the tests, but I've absolutely impressed and loved the field piece. I'm getting no money from field piece. I'm getting no money from MeasureQuick. These are just my experiences with this equipment. So let's get started. One thing we talked about was airflow, airflow, airflow. So what Jim has done, he's taken this instrumentation and simplified it. This is going to be measuring my return air pressure and have it set for return air here, pressure 1. And I want to get this where the filter is. So it's going to get the return air, the air returning to the equipment, the pressure of that air. It's going to be facing towards the airstream. So this angle is going to be facing where the air is coming into it. So I'm going to get the air pressure there. So on my refrigeration cycle, it's going to be right here. And now I'm getting the pressure of the air coming into the system. But also want to know the pressure of the air coming out. So here I have another tool. I'm measuring the pressure in the duct system. Ideally a little bit farther away from the unit to where the air has time to equalize in pressure. But again, we want it facing down towards the airstream. So whichever way the airstream is going, this is facing that. So I'm going to put this right on refrigeration cycle where that would be located. So now we're measuring the pressure of the air coming into the unit and the pressure of the air coming out of the unit. And the app is going to separate those, and it's going to be able to calculate what the air pressure is. And then we know that we talked about a fixed orifice metering device. We need outdoor dry bulb and return air wet bulb. So we got that covered as well. We have these really cool probes and have this one marked OD ambient for outdoor ambient. We're going to put this on the condensing unit where it's measuring the temperature of the air coming into this unit. Remember, out of the sunlight. We don't want the sun affecting that. So somewhere in the shade, but to where the temperature of the air is coming in. On our refrigeration cycle, it's going to be located right here. So we're measuring the outdoor dry bulb temperature. And also we need the return air wet bulb. So where the air is coming in, where the filter's at, I'm getting the temperature of the air coming in. So we're going to put that on a refrigeration cycle right here. So now I'm measuring return air wet bulb. So if we have a fixed surface meter device, the app is already calculating what your target superheat is going to be. It's amazing. It's calculating it for you. You don't need the chart. You don't need to worry about the formula. It automatically calculates it. And if you have a TXV, you just simply select TXV on the app, and it doesn't use that formula for it. It goes with what the TXV is set for, but it's still using that information to calculate how much heat is going into the evaporator coil and what the capacity of that system is, which is brilliant. It's brilliant, man. But that's not all. We also have this probe that's measuring wet bulb of the air coming out. Now, it shouldn't be really close. It should be farther away in the ductwork, after the first bin, ideally at the first register, but you want to get the temperature inside the ductwork. And by getting that temperature, we're measuring how much heat we're taking out of the air. So we're measuring the heat coming in, sensible heat, and latent heat, and also the heat coming out, sensible heat and latent heat. It's measuring wet bulb and dry bulb. With that number on the supplier side, Jim's able to actually calculate how much B2s of heat energy we've removed from that system. That's brilliant. You got a 3-ton system, is it actually moving 3 tons of air? And that's going to change depending on the day. He needs to have all those calculations built into his app, which just blows me away. But we also know we're going to need pressures. So what we have here, I got my LP for low pressure. I'm going to put this on the low pressure side. Notice with these probes, I don't have any hoses on it. So there's no refrigerant to worry about bleeding back out or cleaning the lines. It's just right here. So I can still use the 2-finger rule. But when I use my 2-finger rule and put that on, it goes right on. There's no refrigerant loss. It's quick and easy. And this also communicates directly to the app. It's getting the suction pressure. You tell it what refrigerant, so it takes the suction pressure and automatically converts that to a saturated temperature. And then we also need our suction temperature, actual suction line. So I got this one marked S, and what we're going to do is take our sand cloth and we're going to sand this down because it has to get an accurate temperature. It actually uses the metal as part of the temperature reading. But once we sand this down, we're going to take our suction probe, we'll put it on there, and it's measuring the actual suction line temperature directly to the app. So it's actually able to calculate what the superheat is right here directly to the app. It knows the target superheat, it knows the actual superheat. It's able to see what's happening with your evaporator coil. We also know that we need the liquid side. So I have another one of these probes in the liquid side, 2 fingers, no hoses, no loss, no valve to worry about. It just simply screws right on in. And that communicates directly with my phone to the app. But also we're going to need our L for liquid line. So we're going to get a temperature of the liquid line. We're going to sand this, and now we get the temperature of the liquid line. Here I'm getting my liquid saturated temperature minus my actual liquid line temperature. It's calculating subcooling for you. It's doing all that work for you. So now you know what your subcooling is. You know how much refrigerant's outside. The app is doing all this work for you. But wait, there's more. We also know that we need our discharge line temperature. And before we had cables connected to our clamps, but now it's wireless. I can take the top off the unit, put this on the discharge line, put the top back on, and it's wirelessly communicating and telling us what our discharge line temperature is. Plus, it's also able to calculate what our superheat is coming out. And it's able to use that to know that we're not getting too hot on our discharge line and able to calculate capacity of the system as well. Brilliant, man, am I right? I mean, this guy is brilliant. Now, it does cost some getting all this different instrumentation, but I do recommend that whichever brand you go with, get a full matching set so it all communicates and works together. I also got the meter that matches it, so later we're going to talk about electricity. We're going to be taking amps and volts and all these readings. This wirelessly communicates to the app also, so it's able to take in all that information and calculate what's happening with the system. And on top of that, he puts all this information free for you to use. Now you're going to have to buy the equipment, which is a bit of cost involved, but it makes you faster and more accurate, and it helps you diagnose. Man, you can't beat that. So I know that there's a lot of cost involved with this, but if you're saving some money, ideally a system like this is fantastic. Let's go and put this into use. Let's go see what it's going to look like on a residential system and also some commercial systems. So I have my app set up, ready to go, and all of my instruments are already turned on, so we're going to go and put them in. I got this one set up for pressure 1. This is going to be my return air pressure. So what I'm going to do is get the pressure. I already got a hole drilled. So that's my return air pressure. And I'm also going to need my supply air pressure. So I'm going to take my second probe, P2, put it up here in the supply air. Now I'm going to take my psychrometers. I got this one set up for return air. And what I'm going to do with this one, since I already am using my hole for my pressure, I'm just going to set this one inside. It's completely wireless, so it shouldn't be an issue. Put the whole thing completely inside. I'm measuring the return air temperature, and now we have the trick when it's supply air temperature. So this one I can't just put right here. It's going to be too close. I need it a little bit farther away from the coil. So I got my ladder set up. I have another service port up there. We're going to apply this one right up there. Got these numbers set. I'm going to power the system back up, and we're going to go to the outside. We have the disconnect off. We're going to take the screws loose on the fan motor so we can pull the fan up, and we're going to put our discharge line temperature on the discharge line, but also that gives us an opportunity to check the wiring inside, condition of the coil inside, and the plugs on the compressor terminal. Be very careful with the fan blade not to damage it. Have my sand cloth. I'm going to sand this so we get a good temperature with our probe. All the wiring looks good in here. Nothing's rubbing. That's a good sign. I'm going to put this fan back. Right now, ready for our probes. So I have my low pressure gauge. We're going to put in a suction side. And we have our high pressure gauge for the liquid side. We'll take a little sandpaper here, clean this up a little bit. And I got my liquid probe I'm going to put here, and also my suction probe I'll put right here. All right, now we're set up. I also need my outdoor air temperature probe, and this one's just going to go right next to that condensing unit. I have also my outdoor air probe, and I'm going to put that one right up here where I'm measuring the temperature of the air going into the condenser, but not to the temperature of the sun on it. Now we power this guy back up. And we're going to let this run for 15 minutes to get a good accurate reading. If I open up my MeasureQuick app. So I got the system set for R410A. I have it set for a thermostatic expansion valve. SEER rating is 13 to 16 SEER, so that's already set. I'm also going to put where it says system ID. Let's put some numbers in here. It has here where it says barcode. I'm just going to scan the barcode of the system. All right, so now that we have some run time on us, we can take a look at what's happening. We can see our suction pressure is within range. So you can see that our high side's a little bit low over here compared to what it should be. We have all of our information here for our equipments. It asks for our subcooling. We know that this brand, it has it on the unit itself, and it says our subcooling should be 8. So I'm going to change the subcooling to what the manufacturer says. Change the subcooling to 8 degrees of subcooling. And we're going to change the tonnage. We're going to say the tonnage of the system is at 48,000 BTU. So we're going to sign it, it says 48,000, it's a 4-ton. So we're going to select that. It is a split system. It is a scroll. Evaporator type. Fan type, this is a X13. It's really awesome, all the information it gives us. The actual suction line temperature, our suction saturated is 45. Our PSIG, it gives us our superheat calculated for us automatically, 7.1. It's telling us our liquid saturated is 98. Our head pressure is 310. Our actual liquid line temperature is 87. We have 11.2 degrees of subcooling. The next page tells us our outdoor temperature, our approach, which thing's wrong here. Our compression ratio, we talked about our compression ratio. We're at a 2.2 to 1 compression ratio. And our discharge line temperature is 139.4, so that's great. We're within specs. Inside, our return air temperature, dry bulb temperature is 75-degree return air. Return air wet bulb is a 61.2. Our supply air temperature is 51.5 wet bulb, and our supply air temperature is a 54.5 degree supply air dry bulb temperature. Over the next page, it tells us the enthalpy we're removing is good with 6.88 delta enthalpy, how much actual heat we're removing. Our airflow is 1,690 CFM, so we're right in range. And our delta temperature, or delta T, the coil split, is calculated that for us. We're at a 21.4 delta T. It's already calculated all the information for us as we're within range there, so that's fantastic. It's even giving us how much dehumidification we're doing. We're at 10.9 pounds per hour dehumidification. So it lets us know how much dehumidifier we're doing. The next screen is giving us our BTU per hour, 48,211. So our system's rated for 48,000 BTUs. We're moving 48,000 BTUs. Sensible heat, how much sensible heat we're moving is 36,747 sensible. That's how much temperature change we have, but also we're removing latent heat. So latent heat, we're moving 1,167 BTUs of latent heat. That's our dehumidification, taking the moisture from the air and changing its state from a vapor to a liquid. So our total BTU, sensible temperature change only, latent heat, and then here we have our sensible heating ratio, which is just superb. It gives us all this information. Now EER and SEER is blank. We haven't talked about that yet. I haven't hooked up my meter so that we could record that. Our TESP is total external static pressure. We haven't got the ductwork yet, but that's a bit high. Notice we're bumping over there on the red side. We're still within range, but it's pretty high. And it's telling us our fan efficiency is over here in the green, but we haven't done any numbers on that for it to show. So my electrical, we haven't entered in anything for the electrical. I haven't hooked my meter up yet. We'll get into that later. And our system just cycled off. So now that our system cycled off, we're going to see that all of our numbers are going to start shooting back up. It's also because it's giving us our outdoor temperature, our relative humidity outside, our PSIA, pounds per square inch atmospheric pressure. We're at 13.67 pounds per square inch absolute. It's also giving my elevation 1,964. And now you can see as our system is shutting down, so we're out of range, our head pressure starts to drop. We're out of range, but it's a little bit unusual. It's a pretty cool temperature to be working with. Notice over here on the side, we got this little funny static piece going on. That's telling us that, hey, something's off, everything's not working right because the system just shut down. So it's not going to work right for sure. But that's our MeasureQuick app. We can see about our charge fast, easy, quick. It gives us directions. It's telling us what's happening with the system. And now what we're going to do is shut the power off. We're going to take everything back loose. We'll start here first. Take this guy off. I'm just going to press my power button. Put our valve caps back on the system. We can't forget about our discharge line temperature inside, so we're going to grab that one next. That's it. With those few tools, we've been able to check out the whole system. All I have left I need to do is make sure I plug and tape up these holes so that we're not losing any air. We don't want to be pulling air from this unconditioned space, and I don't want to be blowing air back into this conditioned space. Other than that, we're done. We've checked the system. So start off by downloading your MeasureQuick app. And when you first open the app up for the very first time, it wants your name and email, although they don't bug you, and it's still going to be free unless you want to buy or save any of the reports. But all the stuff's going to be free. Now notice here, all the gauges are showing 0. We don't have any tools attached. You don't have to have tools to get started. We're going to go down to where it says support. And we're going to click on support. This is going to bring up our little search menu. So if you want to specifically know individual things, if you want to play around with it, learn as you go, you can find the answers as you need. However, there's also a training program that goes with this. So we're going to press Getting Started. Once we open that up, it says MQ Training Library. So we're going to jump straight to that one. And it has our training library. This is going to be the training course for it. Now I tried using this link, measurequick.com/training/, and it wouldn't go anywhere for me. So I found you have to click on this little tab that says Training Library. Then it opens up our resources. We're going to click on Learning Management System, and that scrolls us down to two options. We have the first one where we can pay for it. That's if you're an employer and you want to monitor your employees. What we're going to do is click where it says, here are the courses listed, the suggested order with the corresponding links. MQ Training Series 1. We're going to press on that, and this is going to download the PDF that we need to get started. And this is going to take us directly to that link we need to get started, gives us all the information we need. And here's a trick on this. When I was scrolling through, it said jump to Series 2, and I didn't know how to get started. So I learned you just press the complete and continue button at the bottom. This actually starts your training course. It gives you a bunch of information for it, how to maneuver through this course, but we're going to click complete and continue. This is going to get us started with our course. And it's got a little table of contents right here so we can go through everything. But if you go through this in order, it's really well done. It's really well designed. But we're going to start here at the very beginning, introducing MeasureQuick. As you go through, it's got individual links. It's got step-by-step stuff. You can make notes. You can print this out. But as you get through this entire course, then you can go to the next step and the next step and the next step. If you really want to appreciate and understand MeasureQuick, this is the little training course to go through, and it's completely free. It's another great thing you can talk to if you understand this app and how to use it. You can use that for your resume. You can use this when you're talking to employers, but not just understanding and reading it, actually applying it. At some point, you're going to need to get some of the tools and start getting this instrumentation and get the readings and play with it and see how this information can be beneficial, how to use this. With any tool that you buy, you want to practice with the tool on your own equipment first so you know how to use it. You don't want to try to figure out how to use something in front of the customer, in front of your boss, or in front of your lead technician. So hopefully this helps. There's tons and tons and tons of information, and the cool thing is that this app is changing all the time. So as this app changes, the new information is constantly uploaded so you can stay on top of it. There's also a Facebook group for advanced users. Once you understand all this information, you can join that group and learn even more stuff you can do and new changes that's coming with this program. But this is probably the coolest app for HVAC, although there's many other apps we're going to be talking about soon. So get started learning about this app and never stop learning.